This clip is sponsored by American Mobile. If you're a nurse interested in traveling, visit americanmobile.com to get started. I think test taking, like nobody knows how to write tests also. That's not taught as a nurse.
That's exactly right. And that is interesting that you brought that up because that is one of the skills that you learn in a nurse educator program is how to write not just tests, but how to write test questions that are specific to the NCLEX licensure exam that students have to take and that we were actually struggling with. And, I was fortunate enough to have a mentor who had been here in part of the faculty for over 20 years. And she sat down with me one-on-one while I was going through my nursing education program, teaching me how to write these questions.
Yeah.
In learning how to write the questions, though, I also was bold enough to buy a lot of books where I started actually taking questions from the student's perspective. Can I answer? I'm a nurse. Can I answer these questions?
Yeah.
Fascinating point. I did not get them all right.
I think that's a testament to how crazy those questions are sometimes.
That's exactly right. So, the priority that they were telling me that I should do as a nurse, well, I was not choosing those things as the first thing that I would do as a practicing nurse, which I thought was fascinating. So for me, it was like, okay, so how do we train students to think like a nurse?
Yeah.
How do we train students to think, and how do we get them to think like us? Well, the first thing we have to do is start to think out loud. In the classroom, a lot of times we teach facts, but we do not attach the facts, if you will, to the way that we think about working through.
Sure.
Case studies, that's one of the tools that we use. How about we create a situation with the factual information, and we give the students homework to do where they actually learn the factual information. Then we create a scenario for the students in the classroom and say, well, you know what? You're the nurse. We have this patient. And what if this happens? What will you do?
Yeah.
Depending on the student's answer, we change the patient according to the student's answer in the classroom. Before they get to the test, I had to learn in my nurse educator program that before we actually get to the test, I should know if the students know the information before we get to the test, not when we get to the test.
Yeah.
And in the classroom was the perfect way for us to figure out how to make that happen.